Okay, welcome to the Bookmap Live Order Flow Advanced Analysis webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Risk disclaimer: trading equities, cryptocurrencies, and futures involves substantial risk of loss. It's not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And let's just jump right in, all right, and take a look here. So we'll stick with the NASDAQ and zoom out a little bit here. I was just going over a few things in that previous webinar. Let's actually, we'll just start afresh here and clear the drawings. There we go. Bring down that dot size. Okay. And actually, let's take a look at maybe the higher time frame here to begin with, and what's going on and how that might help us view what the order flow looks like in some of these larger levels. Okay. And so here's our half-hour chart. Let's look at an hour chart. Okay. Well, we've seen the continuation to the upside since Monday or Tuesday, and it just continues to go higher and higher here. Okay. So it's actually a pretty makes really good sense fundamentally. Obviously, beginning of the year, all the funds start to purchase anyway, but then we have so many good fundamentals on our side here. The bank's on our side, and now we have tax reform on our side, and that is just making a nice environment for further continuation of these markets to the upside. All right. So we're kind of at a little lofty area here on this 1 hour chart. I mean, we can see, for example, if we just kind of look at where we might be going here. Just trying to get some insight. Actually, I kind of like this one better. All right. Okay, so are we going to accept or reject above here at 42? Let's take a look at Bookmap. Okay, and okay, we've come up to about 45 or so, and zoom out a little bit more here. Okay, here's our non-farm, 830. The numbers were a little weaker than expected, and we can see the drop off until 930, but then some volatility here at 930. The volume obviously picks up, and we are still bullish, okay, and still to the upside here. Higher time frame stuff, well, we can draw a line in here, and this is that non-farm, and we've broken out above it here. Here's a range. It's actually came a little shy of the, it's kind of tapped here, but then it actually broke out right around here, as you can see. So there's actually a few little areas here. This range here, and then this is the high here from that non-farm. I'm kind of curious about those areas, as well as we could draw a trend line in here and look at maybe coming back down into this area here as well. All right, so just offhand, looking at a few things here very quickly. And what does this order book look like? Well, looks really good. We witnessed the breakout here in the previous webinar. And let's just take a look at this, right? So what's going on here in the order book, right? So far, so good, really good, because nice, strong move here. I don't see any sort of reversal pattern up here. I do see some selling cluster. Let's just zoom in a little bit more and bring up the dot size. Okay, I do see a little bit of selling down here, okay, but the majority of this is buying, right? And now if I zoom back out, note how, the high liquidity that you see here between this 37 and 39 area has flipped from the offer to the bid. They want to be buyers above this level, and this is those two orange lines we just put in. Okay, so now what we want to see, and this is where Bookmap is really helpful. Do these guys want to trade down here or not, right? Or are they starting to position themselves long already? We want to know the details here. So far, it looks like I don't see any sort of, kind of reversal pattern up here. Looks like we're just maybe going to go sideways and then continuation to the upside. Okay, so we're looking for the next leg of this this kind of move here. Very strong move in the breakout here from 36 on up to like 45. So and then we kind of paused here at this line here, which was the high from that non-farm, and then continued to break out. Okay, we've come back here already and kind of tested where we broke from here from that high, and well, here's a picture or piece of the puzzle as well. Just looking at we just looked at the order book and how they're supporting it down below here, but then look at the volume here. Okay, well, nice little cluster of sell volume here, but the retest, we don't see a lot of sellers. Okay, so we're still bullish here, and we just broke out of this little microstructure as well. Okay, so looking for next stop would be up at this swing here around 44. Okay, and where are they providing liquidity? Targets would be 45 and 46. Okay. So any questions on that? I went through that rather quickly here. We'll probably see, since we can see the breakdown here and some selling right here where we currently are right now. So we're probably going to see some selling or maybe exhaustion on the buy side and maybe another rotation back into the range here. So let's be aware of that here around this 43 area. Okay, because this is where the selling came in. Right, so we may get a little bit of a pullback right now. Okay, and we didn't get it yet, nothing. All right, but this is another thing that we want to understand here. We looked at the liquidity heat map. We know our areas where there's high liquidity, but what about the transactions? Okay, how did this trade up here and auction off? This is what we want to see in the volume dots. Okay, we do see the green here pulling the market up, right? They're lifting the offer to higher levels, but compared to some of the volume dots that you see over here, okay, this auctioned off really nicely. Okay, this is initiated buying, and they're just buying, sweeping the book higher to new levels. Here we don't get that, right? So we're making a distinction, and that's why it's I can't speak quickly enough. We can see that here, or we saw that here, and then we're also looking around this 43 area where we broke from down here. Well, we kind of tested just below the swing here, and we kind of exhausted out on the buy side and found a few sellers pull the market back down. Okay, this was anticipated. Actually, just a few ticks lower here at 43, so about 3 ticks lower. All right, but what are we seeing here? Right, and what kind of insights are we getting here in the order flow? And this is telling us here that it's going to be range bound for now. Right. Now that might change in any moment. Okay, we're always aware of that. But if we saw this here as auctioning off really nicely with a lot of strong buy volume, well, we may get a pullback to where we broke from, and then we'll find the buyers again. Okay, but right now, what I'm seeing here in the order flow is kind of range bound activity. Okay, so back up into, and we made kind of a, we didn't even quite make it to the swing, just 1 tick away, right, and exhausted out. All right, so one of the things we look for in the range bound activity here, this can get very tricky But I think, and this is covered in the educational course. Well, first off, the sweep of the book and how it auctioned here. Okay, this is in part 1 of the educational course, just understanding a sweep of the book and how powerful this is to understand that we are now trading with a very strong move at higher levels. Okay, and then once we start to get into some of these range-bound areas, though, they get rather tricky. So what we want to take a look at here is the bigger range to begin with. Okay, and it's from up here at 45 down here to this 39.5 area. Okay, and you can see ranges within ranges here. All right, and that's where it can get tricky. Okay, because here's a small range up here, then we broke and then traded down below, kind of in a range here. And then we kind of broke here. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but you can kind of see it here, a range down here, and we just broke up out of that. And that was the auction that we were just looking at, right? And so now we are in this range here, okay? So this is where it gets tricky because it looks like it wants to break out and come up and test this 45, and it may. However, we want to look at the bigger picture in the ranges here, okay? So if we come up into this area here, and we don't see, we see maybe some exhaustion, especially like on a double top or something. Let's zoom in here. Kind of like this here, we see some volume that traded here that looked good, but then we don't see any aggressive buying up here at the swing, and then sellers come in. So this is that tricky area that I'm discussing. These ranges within ranges, and I think what is most helpful is to take a step back and not get caught up in the microstructure, okay, and look at the bigger range and how order flow and transactions are behaving up in those areas, okay, because otherwise you'd be buying this little breakout here and feel some pressure here. Okay, so it's still strong. There's no question about it. We're still bullish. So we are looking for higher highs here ultimately, but we're just noticing here that we are in these kind of tricky ranges. Okay, and let's just clear all the drawings. Okay. $461. Not sure what you mean, Jason. Okay, here's our breakout. All right. Well, this one actually was a little more straightforward. Oh, okay. In terms of liquidity, yeah. High liquidity up here. A few seconds ago. Oh, okay. Well, this one was less tricky. Well, we can definitely see that. So I was actually looking for maybe to test outside of this and then maybe test back into the lower range here, below the swing here, and then for this breakout to occur. Instead, it's just too strong right now. Buyers just step right back in, and this auctioned off really nicely here. This looks proper. Okay, so we're still buyers. We're looking for areas of pullback. Probably the first pullback is going to be here at 46. Kind of already got it already. And why do I mention it? Because the aggressive buying right here. All right. Next area is probably this area here in this cluster. All right. And this is actually where we broke from too. So maybe down to 44, but it could also be around 45. So kind of a range here. All right. Looking for pullbacks into these areas, and then looking for support here in the limit order book, and see these buyers wanting to be buyers like they were here, supporting it. Okay, we want to see that up in these areas here. That would look good. That would look bullish. Yeah, I kind of like this 45 area better, to be honest. And reason being is this is the swing here, so right at 45. Okay. Yeah, it's crazy to see, like Jason, like you're saying, like all sorts of liquidity jump in so quickly, and that's where one of the add-ons can be really helpful, and that's that large lot tracker, where it's this vertical white line you see in this COB column right here. Okay, you'll see that this little white line here means that one player, one individual actor, is holding the majority of the liquidity. And we want to note it. We want to note that because it might be a bigger player who very much wants to buy or sell, or maybe they just want to skew the book really quickly. Okay? So they have the power to do that because they're holding so much liquidity. All right. So let's see here. Well, overall, the anticipated move was to the upside. It happened quicker than we thought, just because looking at some of this range-bound activity, and that's pretty typical. And when it's just it's bullish. I guess maybe what I was originally looking for was maybe a pullback into some of these areas here. And I don't even really like this trend line here, to be honest, but some traders were looking at that for sure, as well as this little area here in our range, right? Because in our range here, we traded down below and then traded up above and accepted here. Yeah, I don't really like it technically, but anyway, it's what occurred. And let's see this. Yeah, 460. This is what Jason was pointing out before. Okay, very, very high liquidity in here. Okay, and look what they're doing here. Like we can see that this is very, very high liquidity, and none of it trades. Okay, or very, very little here. 25 contracts traded at this area. Okay, so this is fake liquidity. Right? We know that. Okay, this is one of the things we want to understand. If this is fake, we're looking for higher areas here. And was trying to skew the book here, trying to press it lower to maybe get into some of these lower areas, right? But they had no intent to trade here. Okay, we know that. Okay, and look at these guys here. So this kind of analysis gives us so much insight to the liquidity at some of these higher levels. We trade up into it and they're pulling. Trade up into it and they're pulling. Okay, so they're providing some liquidity up here, but they're pulling a lot of it. Okay, so we're looking for continuation to the upside until they start absorbing, because there's still buying pressure in here. Now, just basic market, auction theory here. If there is sellers up here, but then they pull their orders, they don't want to sell. They want to sell at higher areas. Well, that's where the market has to go. And if the buyers and there's buying pressure, well, that's where, if they want to meet the majority of those sellers, that's where it will go. Okay, and that's what has been occurring here. Okay. All right, let's see if we get our pullback here to 45. That's what we're looking for. All right, well, starting to see, like, you can see a little head, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, but this isn't really matching what we're looking for. Okay, we don't see nice big clusters of selling in these areas here. Okay, so yeah, this is although it has the structure, the order flow is not fitting the structure. Okay, so let's see if we can dip down here, and let's see if they start to stack the book here. Okay, and they want to be buyers in these areas here. Okay, here we are at 45. Okay, nothing yet. Okay, while we wait that to play out here, let me get to one of the questions here. Jason, I wouldn't be so sure about that. I mean, we've seen many times like 400 contracts get totally absorbed very quickly, or over 400, 500, 600. So it depends. It really depends. And it's not. This is a kind of a point that like we want to understand that you know if they are getting filled or not, and it can be really helpful and insightful. Just because there's 400 contracts doesn't mean that the buyers or the aggressor might not take them on. We see them do that all the time, and it gives us a lot of insight. But we also know if they do absorb it, that's giving us a lot of information as well. So let's see here. I don't have colored lines on the CVD. Okay, let me show you my CVD settings here. Okay, so here's what we were looking for actually. Note the 133 contracts here, and note it's one player with about 80% of it here. Okay, of these 131 contracts. Okay, so he may pull, right? But does he? We'll see if he absorbs or the sellers take him on or not. Is this a skew of the book, or is it? Does he really want to buy up at this higher level? Okay, but this is the behavior we were looking for at this level. Okay, it's actually a little bit higher, and we have some technicals here as well that are lining up. So, if we can just get some more buyers to step in and maybe get above this 47 level and get some more buying in here, maybe we can come up and test the highs here at 48 3/4 and 49 1/2. Okay. All right, let me show you my CVD settings, and we'll kind of see how this plays out here. Well, they already pulled. All right, so we're going to get some back and forth in this area here. All right, so let's click on the CVD here, and then select your CVD here, and you can click on the sprocket as well here, and it'll bring up that the settings here. Okay, this is what I have. It's just the basic session range. Ooh, okay, you want to look at maybe chart range? Is that right? I like the chart range quite a bit. So what the chart range CVD does is gives me the, if I zoom in and out, it will make the calculation for all of the traded volume here for the cumulative volume delta only within that range. Okay, so my setting is very basic there, Jason. There's no sort of, in any sort of like contracts that I'm filtering in and out or whatever. Okay, it's all of the CVD. Okay. If you guys want to know more about some of the CVD settings, let me show you where you can find that information here. Okay, it's under here, features and components. Click on that on the playlist, and we'll scroll right down to cumulative volume delta. And let me share this video here. There you go. All right. Okay, all right, you got it figured out, Jason. Yeah, I mean, you can have those reset all the time. A lot of traders want to see the CVD reset because they're not so interested in cumulative volume for a maybe the chart range or a session. They're only looking for maybe a 5-minute period or something. Okay. When I set it for the day, does it look at historical data that you have in the active window? Okay, so the CVD setting there is for what I have right now. You can see that it's making the calculation only for the traded volume within this range. Okay, if I zoom out, you're going to see see how it just changed here, right? And also the line changed. It's making the calculation now for everything within my viewable range. The way, if you're not interested in that, or it's really up to you. You can come up with all sorts of configurations here. One is to look at the session range. Okay, so once I open up my Bookmap and started collecting data, my CVD starts adding together. Okay, the cumulative volume delta. All right. Okay, well, we're still bullish. This little, this is what's great. We're looking right at it. Like, if this was going to be a reversal pattern here, we needed to see nice cluster of selling down here. Okay, and we didn't really get that at all here. We got a little bit more here, but we were looking for this area as a retest. This is where we broke from the high, and we're looking for buyers to step in, or looking for a skew in the book. We did get that here, but it was basically fake liquidity. We still may get buyers getting interested. Looks like they're starting to layer into the book at some of these lower levels here. So we're probably going to come down here, it looks like. But let's see if the sellers show up here. Okay, we're still bullish. Not until something in the chart changes and shows us something different. Okay, one of the things about the afternoon session, or just around lunchtime here, is the the activity starts to kind of dwindle. Yeah, we see some selling here. There's it's noted, but this is where we broke from, and we found the buyers again, but we didn't get enough buying pressure to get up into some of these upper levels here, not yet. So we have another rotation back down. Okay, higher liquidity starting to come in down here at 43.5. Okay. Look how they're starting to behave here as well. Now these guys can pull. We usually see that if they're lowering their offer here, but we don't see the volume here yet supporting this kind of reversal pattern here. So note at 48, they just pulled. Okay, let's see it. Looks like they pulled from 48 and added up here at 48.75. Okay, any questions on this? We've been going over reversal patterns quite a bit for the last few months, and what they're telling us. Okay, just because there's the pattern doesn't mean anything. We want to put the order flow within the pattern. Then it has significance. So now we're back to where we were earlier, actually. The same type of thing developing here. Big range. Ranges within ranges. Okay. So we might see a really quick sell-off right here. Okay, we just broke the high of this range here. Get some of these guys looking at this kind of myopic view, and maybe we can come back down and test the bottom of the range again here. We see a lot of buying pressure starting to come in though at around this 48, above 48. So it looks good to the upside, right? The question is going to be at the top of the range here at 49. I like it though. I mean, you know, it's good volume here. Okay, it's been bullish so far. The behavior we saw over here was there was no sort of like trickery. It just remained bullish. Okay, this looks similar here. This looks good. You know, looking for you know, further continuation here. Okay, 98 contracts here at 49, jumping in. 6650. Okay, the figure here, half figure, important number. Looks like we want to come up and test that. Okay, nice cluster here. We'll also note though, I mean, like these clusters, a lot of times what happens, it looks great, and then we'll get another retest up here and we have a lack of buying. And then the sellers read that and they start to hit the bid pretty hard to get these, try to get these guys going the wrong way, scare them out. But I mean, the price discovery is, unless these guys remain trapped up here and we see a significant amount of selling, you know, price will be attracted back up into this area because that's where it can trade. It's been established. There's value up here. Okay, so you get kind of a shakeout move and then a move back up into this area, and then finally enough buying pressure to get up into like, you know, 6650. Let's see if that occurs here. This is almost, if it does, it's just like what we saw over here. Okay, with the other range. Okay, this little swing here is a little different. Still buying pressure though. And it still looks good. It looks great. You know, a little bit of selling down here, but so, you know, we might get another rotation, but majority of it is buying up at these higher areas. Target is the 6650. Let's see, another question. I'd like to take a look at some crude oil. Oh, I do have some equities. If earlier in the week, someone was asking about seeing Amazon and some of the other equities. I did add those. If you guys want to take a look, let me know. If you want to take a look at some of the Bitcoin or Ethereum digital currencies, we can do that as well. See, these little things get frustrating up here. This is typical. Like this looks good, and it still does. But sellers are starting to come in, and they're starting to, you know, try and drive this lower, and maybe, you know, shake some of this out, I guess. where are the buyers going to line up? Maybe it's down below this little area here that we need to break and then see the move to the upside. So the weaker hands have covered down below the swing here. That's possible. Or we may come down to the bottom of the range again here at 45. All right, well, we'll let that play out. Let's take a look at crude quickly. Yeah, let me get my cumulative volume delta all set up as well on that. Okay, there we go. All right, well, here's what crude looks like. Nice move. You can see 830 move to the upside here, the non-farm retest back up into these areas, and then the drop from it here, and we're coming back up to retest it again right now. Okay, areas of high liquidity, you can see the larger players layering in into some of these areas here, especially down at around this 61 area. Okay, and then higher liquidity was up here as well, traded right into it, bounced, they pulled, and we've traded up now above it. Okay, target looks like 40, and then that's kind of where we broke from up here. Okay, we're almost there. Yeah, this is obviously isn't as bullish at all. And let's jump back to that NASDAQ and see what played out here. Okay, well, we almost came down to 45 here. Yeah, I mean, these get really tricky. I mean, like it's this range bound stuff like this, but would love to see it kind of break below 45. Would love to see it flush out here, and like to see the buyers step in again. Okay, it's also true that, I mean, we're starting to see, look at the selling. Okay, this just happened as we were taking a look at crude. See more selling starting to come in here. So we may also be witnessing a shift here in that order flow. And maybe this does turn into kind of a double top pattern here. I still think another retest up in this area is due. Heat map wise, we're still just we're just channeling, right? They're down here around 43, 44, and then they're up here at 49 and 50. It's actually pretty typical as well. Before reaching these bigger numbers like this, you'll see this kind of back and forth before finally getting up into the figure. Well, it looks really good to test down below this 45 now. That would be the opposite side of the bigger range here. Okay, here's our little retest here, right? Okay, so this is where buyers can step in. We need to see it's possible. What we're looking for, again, same type of stuff. Up in this area here, right at this 47 and a quarter, we need to see big green dots. Okay, we're putting together like what the swing down here. Okay, I would love to see it come down to 45. That would be better. But we have exhaustion here. Okay, note that the selling dot here, and then look at the selling cluster here. It's not as much. So buyers are going to start to read that, the bulls, and if we can get a nice cluster of aggressive buying here, we can get that price discovery up into the area up here that we were looking at, and then maybe up to the figure. Okay, skew in the book would be nice to see. Let's see them, raise their bids up into these areas here. Okay, here comes some of that buying volume. Okay, that's what we're looking for, right? Okay, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. It's a little weak in here, but this looked pretty good. Okay, looks better, a little more. Yeah, I like it. Okay, retest to where we broke from here at 47. Okay, it's getting kind of sloppy here. Let's clear the drawings. All right, well, the sellers are a little stronger than we thought. They're still battling in here. And we can see what's going on here. It's this point of control right here at 47, right in our range. That's where the battle is going to take place here, or is taking place. Okay, any more questions? Jump back at crude. Want to take a quick look at crude? Do we get up to 40? No, we didn't. We didn't make it up to 40. Not yet. Okay, retested twice. Got up to 36. Well, this is 38. Okay, and they're here on the bid though at 26. Okay, some exhaustion here on the buy side still though. So this is getting more convoluted. So, I mean, sellers can take control. This is what we look for. I mean, they can take control and push it down below that 47 level here. Okay, because what do we get? We get this cluster looked really good here, and then we have, look at this little area right here on the retest. Okay, nothing, or very little, I should say. Okay, so sellers can take control here. And more selling interest here at 49, and then look at them skewing it here, 254 contracts here, 47 and a half. So it's in their interest now. The sellers want to take control, okay, and press it down here. Okay, but buyers are, I mean, this is just back and forth. The buyers are starting to come in a little bit lower, or they're still lower down here, but we're still seeing aggressive buying too. So it's back and forth. We still haven't gotten down below the swing here at 45. So that was a wicked little, skew of the book here, as you can see it, right? Spoofing type of action, get this down lower. Okay, and maybe that's what it needed. Maybe it just needed that, and maybe these aggressive buyers can come in now. Let's see. Okay, well, we know, I mean, we can read that liquidity here. I mean, they did not have the intent to trade, right? So what did they intend to do? And it looks to me to get it down below the swing. There it is. There's the move. Wow, it had just happened so quickly. All right. Well, I mean, that I was just about to say, like, 49 was the first target, but just out of the blue, a quick move like that. All right. Well, we made it up to the figure as well. Let's zoom in here a bit, okay, and take a look at what happened. Very, very quick move. Look at that sweep of the book. Okay, that's a sweep. Just nothing but buying. Okay, so this is we're seeing some latency because this happens so quickly, and there's latency between the two different data that are coming into the platform. Okay, it's not Bookmap's fault here. This just they come in via different protocols here, and what occurred here was the trade data came in, and then the quotes data came in. Okay, trade data comes in via TCP/IP and FIX, and trade data is or quotes data is UDP and FIX, right? And we see the latency here. Okay, did these guys get filled up here? Absolutely, right? Well, let's see. It was 124 here on the ask, 127 traded. Okay, at the figure, and then the buying pressure continued to sweep. Okay, so understanding these kinds of mechanical moves here in the market are basic mechanical moves are really important. This is just a huge sweep of the book. Okay, and it's usually that kind of sweep that we see that gets us up out of these levels into new levels. Now this is a pretty good example because we can see where we broke from here and where they swept the book. And let's zoom in a little bit closer. Okay, swept the book from down here around this 47 and a quarter. Look at them flip, and they want to be, they're providing higher liquidity down here now. Okay, where it broke from, we come back down and test it. Okay, and continue to the upside here. All right, so there it is. I mean, there's the shakeout. This looked good up here. We did see, I mean, you know, some selling started to come in, and it looks like they wanted to take it lower into some of these areas. But I was looking for and hoping for a test below and a rejection of 45, and we didn't get it. Instead, we just got little like kind of liquidity grabs below some of these micro swings instead, just like this. Okay, just like this one here, you know, test down below, trades back up into the range. Here's where it looked pretty good. I really liked this, to be honest, in this area right here. This looked like it wanted to come up, and at this point, maybe we get the retest back to here, and then the move back up. We got one more swing, shake people out here. Okay, and then it's just a very, very a violent move, very quickly to the upside here, sweep of the book. All right, very, very quick. All right, so any of these sellers, they're you know, getting stopped out as well very quickly. All right, but yeah, I mean, it's too bad we didn't see it. It's too bad it did that extra rotation, because in terms of covering these kind of order flow phenomena, it would have been cleaner if we saw it here, because it was pretty nice. You know, we saw the move, the back down, nice cluster of the volume here. Let's clear these again. Okay, nice cluster here. Okay, above the swing, the retest here where we broke from. And then we're looking for that move to the upside. Instead, here's our retest and exhaustion, and that's why we had that potential for a move down below 45. Okay, right in here. But what we needed to see was a nice cluster of aggressive buying here, and then we would have come up here. Right? It's too bad. You know, it just makes it more convoluted to understand. But usually. You know, we see the nice move like this, the retest, and then the continuation. All right. Instead, like, you know, we mentioned before, even this range started, these areas do get tricky like this. Okay, but this looked good. This looked good to me. Okay, I'm sure that crude is probably up now as well after that kind of violent break. I don't know, but this might have been news as well. I don't know if it's news related. So if anyone has their news feeds open, let's jump back at crude. Okay, yeah, crude also. Okay, pretty good move up above into that high level here at 61.40. Okay, the picture on crude is now a little different too. Okay, we're back up into this bigger range here. This is our bigger range. Okay, so the question now is, are we going to accept or reject above? Okay, so this area here at this 36 is basically the key. And they're showing interest here. You know, on the buy side, it might come down a little bit deeper. But the higher liquidity is here at 48, just below the half figure here at 61.50. Anyway, looks good. I mean, this is bullish. It's nice, nice auction here. I'm curious if these guys, did they absorb or not? Yeah, they absorbed some. All right, so let's go back to our NASDAQ. Okay, all right, so what do we know? Okay, we covered it earlier, 66.50 absorbed. And we're still moving to the upside. Now, just because we see absorption doesn't mean that we're changing the slant yet, but we want to note it. We want to note that this area was absorbed. Okay, and it pulled back immediately, and then it continued to the upside. But these guys are out of the market at this point. Okay, 54. Look at 54 as the high liquidity and the target here. Do I prefer the orange or the red heat map? I actually kind of like the red heat map. It just gives a little more insight here at some of these areas. I've been using the orange one though, just because you know it gets a little bit brighter, so you guys can maybe understand that, and you can still see the subtlety here. I mean, look at the subtlety up here, right? It went from bright or the orange to yellow to back to orange. Okay, so they started to pull a little bit here and then they came back in. Play around with it, Steve. I think and the older one's still available here if you want. But here's the some of the distinctions that you'll see in the heat map is in some of these little striations in these areas. They're adding and pulling. I mean, look at the adding and pulling in here. It's just almost the rainbow here of the running the color gamut here. You can see that you have a third option as well, and that is the legacy, the heat map here, which in the grayscale, which I like quite a bit. But here's the difference, right? And this is what this colored heat map is going to help you with. I mean, I like the clarity and and just the simplicity in the grayscale heat map. I like it a lot. It's just that some of these areas up here, they just remain kind of bright white. Here we can see the difference, okay? These areas where they're adding and pulling within the heat map that's colored, and you can see the subtle differences. And I like that. I prefer that. I think the red one is a wall. Yeah. Well, 129 contracts. It's only one level up here. Okay, and then they're also adding higher too. Okay, so we want to note that kind of behavior. We want to see, well, they're starting to come in now. Okay, we want to see that behavior here, be different. We want to see that they're up here at maybe 54, but then they want to be sellers even more aggressively at lower areas. That's telling us something. Okay, and we also noted over here some of that absorption, right? So we're starting to look for maybe a change here. Okay, in that order flow. Now we're starting to look at the transactions. Where are they starting to take place? Are sellers starting to take control? And yeah, we just broke below a little swing, micro swing here, and we see a nice cluster of selling. Okay, these are some of the clues. These are some of the, it's just, we're putting all of this evidence together, and this is just factual evidence. We're noting it, and then we're looking for that opportunity, looking for that, market move that we can anticipate based on the evidence that we're piecing together here. Now, as we've noted many times, like these quick moves happen all the time. Okay, even though this move here that we noted in real time, okay, even though this occurred very, very quickly, this was the anticipated move. It's just that it would have been a lot nicer if it played out a little differently without this one more shakeout to the downside here, because in this area here it looked really good. Anyway, what we know at these moments is all we know. Okay, someone coming in and sweeping the book like this with a very aggressive move, they just took it all. They took every single price level on up into 66.50, and then that was absorbed. So we never know what may occur, but what we do know is what has occurred and what is occurring too. Okay, and that's what the heat map is going to be able to help you with. So the transactions is great, because we can see what occurred and put those pieces together. But with the heat map, we can see the historical view of how they're behaving and within the current view as well. So are they still interested at that area, or are they not? Are they starting to front run it? Are they starting to lower the offer? Are they starting to pull on the bid? These types of things. And we're reading the context of that auction, and we're putting that together. All right, and that's what leads to these kinds of anticipated market moves. All right, guys. Well, anyway, it has been a short week here, beginning of the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. Let's wrap it up. We'll call it a week, and we'll see you on Monday. Okay. All right, guys. Well, let me know if you have any other questions, and you can also reach out to support@bookmap.com. Okay, guys. All right. Have a good weekend. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.